Hi, I am Liman Lok. According to a report by a newspaper, a woman in Singapore mapped out public toilets equipped with bidets, and her efforts garnered over 1.3 million views. The article highlights that many people relate to her claim that using a bidet is more satisfying than toilet paper. Today, I will be using statistics to examine if there's a significant difference in satisfaction between using a bidet and toilet paper. Using percentages for satisfaction, which are continuous data, simplifies comparing results and applying statistical tests like the t-test effectively. My null hypothesis is there is no significant difference in satisfaction levels between using a toilet paper and using a bidet. My alternate hypothesis is there is a significant difference in satisfaction levels between using toilet paper and using a bidet. To prove my hypothesis, I conducted an online survey among a random sample of all age groups receiving 95 responses, which I have tabulated in the Excel as shown. First, I find the mean of the results using equal average from column C to C. Next, I find the standard deviation using the formula std.s. S as a sample data, again using column C to C to select all the satisfaction levels. The purpose of calculating the standard deviation is to measure the amount of variations or spread in the satisfaction levels. It tells us how much the satisfaction scores differ from the average, helping us understand the consistency of the responses. Next, I determine my x values, which are my levels of satisfaction from 0 to 100%. Next to it, I find the corresponding normal distribution using the formula norm.dist. D9 is my mean of 88%, E9 is my standard deviation, and F9 is my x values. Using the same formula, I can get the other normal distribution values from 0 to 100%. The purpose of finding the corresponding normal distribution values is to understand how the satisfaction levels are distributed across the range from 0% to 100%. By calculating these values, we can visualize the distribution as a bell curve, helping to identify trends, variations, and patterns in the satisfaction data. This allows for a clearer and more detailed analysis of the data's behaviors and characteristics. Using the x values and my normal distribution, I was able to create a bell curve graph. Creating a bell curve graph with my x values and normal distribution values helps me to see how satisfaction levels are spread out. It shows me how often different levels of satisfaction happen, making it easier to understand and analyze the data. Next, I labeled my sample size, which is 95, as I got 95 responses in total. Next, I perform a t-test to determine if there's a significant difference between the average satisfaction levels of the two groups. A t-test helps us figure out if the difference in average satisfaction between the two groups, toilet paper users versus bidet users, is meaningful, or if it might have occurred by chance. It's a scientific method to see if people generally feel more satisfied using one method over the other. Next, I find my margin of error using the formula 1.96 times E9, which is my standard deviation, square root, and H9, which is my sample size. The purpose of calculating the margin of error is to find out how much the sample result might differ from the true population values. It helps us understand how accurate our sample results are and how much uncertainty there is around the average we calculated from the sample. After finding my margin of error, I use the values to calculate my confidence interval. The lower limit, I use the mean minus the margin of error, and the upper limit, I use the mean plus the margin of error. The purpose of calculating the confidence interval is to provide a range that is likely containing the true satisfaction levels. This range helps us understand how accurate our sample results are and shows the level of uncertainty in our estimates. From my findings, my conclusion of my hypothesis test is with a p-value of 0.00003700859 tenth decimal place, much lesser than 0.05, I will reject the null hypothesis. This means there is a significant difference in satisfaction levels between using a bidet and using toilet paper. Thank you for your attention. That's all for now. Goodbye and take care.